Range of motion was a little wacky at first.
That thing was flying great.
If you've never seen a perfect scar, it's because you haven't met Hayden Carroll yet, a football player with a football-shaped scar.
It's been definitely a curvy road for me. Overcoming adversity is a big thing in football. You're gonna have down days, and it's just about how you bounce back with it.
Hayden never could have foreseen how much he'd need that skill.
One day I was going to take a shower and I was like, this isn't usually here.
It was June of 2023. Hayden had just started junior college in California with hopes of earning a football scholarship to a 4-year university when he noticed a small, hard lump on his upper left arm. He called his parents back in Jefferson City.
At that point, I'm thinking, it's probably nothing. What is the likelihood of this super healthy, athletic 18-year-old having something that is, could change his whole life on his arm?
His mom and dad flew him home to see a family doctor who looked at it, felt it, and said it was just a cyst. They scheduled a procedure to remove it. Hayden was awake with local anesthetic. His mom was in the room.
Mid-procedure, the doctor and the nurse just stop. And they're like, this is not a cyst.
As soon as he made that incision, he said, yeah, this is not a cyst.
And they said, we're gonna go ahead, we've already started.
The doctor kept cutting, and the follow-up call after lab testing was devastating. It was a spindle cell tumor, cancer in his arm.
They told us not to look into Google too hard.
Of course, like most of us, they went straight to Google.
It's very rare. The stories that you can find out there are terrifying.
And they were further devastated to learn that cutting into it was one of the worst things that doctor could have done because it could have spread the cancer cells.
I'm not handling it well. Of course, you think the worst.
We were blaming ourselves for letting him get into that situation and letting him have that initial procedure.
We didn't know that there was any harm by making it cut. That makes it worse by spreading those cancer cells.
They switched Hayden's care to the University of Kansas Cancer Center, where they met Dr. Benjamin Powers and Dr. Howard Rosenthal.
Dr. Powers and Dr. Rosenthal, I feel like they have been just angels from God.
What was meant to be a single week home turned into months away from school and football. And after a second, more extensive surgery,
Dr. Powers had looked at him and said, hey, you're cancer-free.
Hayden's story could have ended happily there, but Hayden had other plans.
Asked Hayden, he was like, what are you gonna do now with your life? And he was very adamant of, I'm gonna go back and play football.
The new battle, how to make that possible.
It was a big question mark.
After missing so much football for such a serious reason, Hayden wondered if any team would want him.
Yeah, I don't know if any of the schools are really gonna want a quarterback that had cancer.
What happened next is something you might think could only happen in the movies. His dad drove out to California to help Hayden pack up his life with a somewhat nutty idea.
It was a long shot.
On their drive back to the Midwest, they would just stop by every college Hayden liked and see if there was a spot on the team for him.
As a parent, I want to teach him to never give up on something.
Is that really realistic? You're just gonna show up and what if they're busy or what if they're not there? Don't you make an appointment?
One, we showed up and I remember they were completely locked. We weren't getting in.
After several stops, they arrived at Southwestern Oklahoma State University.
We showed up, started looking around the school, and was like, hey, is Coach Rice here?
I knew absolutely nothing about Hayden before meeting him. That was one of the easiest recruiting trips we had.
A handshake with the head football coach, Andrew Rice, turned into an entire day and then a revelation.
I've kind of viewed it as a tool in his toolbox. This is somebody I'm going to be able to really push because he's already overcome something that's far bigger than just the game of football, and he can throw the ball.
Hayden landed that QB spot on the team, and a few months later, Hayden had his own revelation. He's grateful, not just for the opportunity, but also for the cancer that led him to this point.
I don't know how I couldn't be grateful for it. It's been my entire life playing football. It helped remind me of why I do it and why I love it.